Well, hello and welcome everybody. My name is Josh Herman. Welcome to Gnomon Art Jam. Today we're going to be sculpting some stuff in ZBrush, or we'll be making some characters. If you have any questions while we get going today, please go ahead and feel free to ask. I'll be answering questions from the chat. We're going to be working on a character I've been working on for the past several streams. So I'm going to show you a little bit of that, and then I'm going to show you some of the background for that as well. In case you have no idea who I am or why I'm here, this is my portfolio. You can check me out here on ArtStation, or you can also check me out on Instagram here. But I've worked in the entertainment industry for about a decade, between collectibles, film, games, props, all kinds of different things like that. So feel free to browse around and ask any questions about any of the projects that you see here, and I'm happy to answer them. Aside from that, we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to jump into ZBrush here. I'm going to switch up our overlays here in a second, so you can have more of a full screen view. So this is the character that we've been working on for the past several streams. This is actually an older iteration, so I'm going to show you what we had before and kind of how we got to here. So let's get this thing off. Where is it? Move this, and then we'll go to this style. So it's a little bit bigger and hopefully a little more full screen for y'all, so you can actually see what we're working on. Now, again, this is the character we worked on several streams in a row, so it's kind of watching this whole character come to life from design through the design phase all the way to more of an execution phase. And my plan is to eventually do some 3D printing and illustrations of this. So my goal for today is to finalize a little bit more of the costume and to get just a little bit further along. So this is actually, like I said, an older version, and then this is a newer version. Now, obviously, you'll see some differences here, and what you're noticing is that the costume, meaning like this blue stuff and this gray stuff, aside from the body proportions that we did, doesn't actually fit anymore. So I'm going to be reworking the costume today and fitting it to the character, but also in a way that I don't have to redesign everything, and I'll be working with some ZModeler tools and topology brush tools to kind of make some of these things first. So we're going to do a lot of this. You'll see a bunch of other iterations that I have over here. So we have our character here. This is version 4, in case you're wondering. This is then version 7. You can see some more of the costume here that's not on this version. And then you can see basically what I'm getting to, which is now this more final version. And this is actually what we spent a lot of time on over the previous streams. I'm going to take off some of this costume here so you can get a better sense. We went from a more humanoid, traditional bodybuilder build of the character. I'll even turn off the color so you can see that a little more clearly, to something that is a little bit more reptilian. So starting here and ending here, this is all the same mesh. We're just kind of reproportioning it, resizing it. And so that's where we've gone from that to that. And then today we're going to work on the costume. We also, if you didn't notice, went from basically from this. Let's take off some of these costume elements on another one so we can have a more one-to-one. From this color, this kind of lime green color, to this more forest green, painted some of the eyes, and also spent a lot more time detailing the character. So even if we turn off the details here, what you'll see is the amount of detail that's on the face. Let's select the same thing so it's highlighted. A little bit more detail, getting into pores, ways that we can do that, and we're going to continue working on that as well. But yeah, that's kind of what we're working on today. All right, let's get jumping into it and start working. So the first thing that I'm going to do, well, to do this, so I could start with a little warm-up. I kind of want to start with a warm-up because I did one of those yesterday and it felt really good. So let's start with a warm-up. Sometimes for warm-ups, I just like to spend 15 or 20 minutes just kind of making a shape. So we'll just pull out a polysphere here. Let's make Polymesh 3D. And we'll just start moving some stuff around with this red today. What's my favorite tune to play on the guitar? Well, that's a good question. I'm just learning guitar, so not too many. But I guess if I had to pick one of my beginning songs I've been learning is Knocking on Heaven's Door by both Bob Dylan and Guns N' Roses. Also been learning Man of Constant Sorrow from the Oh Brother Where Art Thou soundtrack, which has been pretty fun. Good question, though. All right. Just kind of searching for shapes at this point. I kind of like how these wings are going, so I might just start dynameshing this in our warm-up. Like I said, I am happy to answer any questions. If anybody has other questions, whether about guitar or process or anything like that, feel free to ask. I am just kind of searching for shapes at the moment. I don't really know what I'm looking for, but just things that seem to flow well. It looks like Predator. We're going to do this. Let's move these down. Also, if it just posted in the chat, in case you don't see it, Adam Hartel, one of our Gnomon reps, is here in the chat. So if you have any questions about classes or curriculum or courses or admissions or anything like that, Adam will be able to help you out. Welcome to the stream. Hello. I see a couple people joining. Hello, hello. Hope you're all doing well today. Let's just spin this and see what we can find. Sometimes I find that when I'm making a shape, I already kind of know where this is going to go. This is very accidental Predator inspired, so I'm just going to start spinning it, seeing if for some reason something different appears. Maybe there will be. Yeah, good call, Adam. Letting everybody know we will be opening campus for in-person classes in the fall. So that means campus will be going back to normal. It's super exciting. What references am I using? I'm not using any references right now. I'm just kind of doing a warm-up right now, searching for shapes. I don't have anything specifically here for inspiration. I like this sort of regal crown aspect that's coming out of this. So I'm going to keep moving with that. Let's see where that takes me. Just using Dynamesh in case anybody's wondering. So as soon as the mesh begins to get pulled too far in a direction, just Dynameshing it so that it's a little more clear. Obviously, I'm not really working on the back right now, but it's always good to work in the round. Working in the round means, in case you weren't aware, working on the whole sculpture at once. Sometimes you get these issues, which means that this got sucked through. So I'm going to undo until that doesn't happen. Mask off the front, hoping it doesn't mask off the back, which you're seeing it is. It's because the brush size is too big. And now I can use a brush to kind of fill this out, adding a little bit more volume. Hopefully it won't suck through there. And then now I can Dynamesh it. Having to go to bed already? Well, I don't know where you're at, but I assume it's late where you are. It's only 2 p.m. here. The stream will be uploaded to YouTube and Twitch as well, so feel free to watch it later. Kind of like some of these shapes that we got going on. Turn the intensity up. We'll change it to like 50. That way I can make a couple lines that are more intense. It's a happy little accident there. Like that. Looking cool. Another character add to your world? Maybe. I don't know. This is just some, random shapes that I put together on accident. I am liking some of the stuff that I got here, which is nice. It's always good when you feel like you kind of luck into some stuff sometimes. Hide that mask. I can still move it if I need to, but hello everyone that's joining. Welcome to the stream. Just kind of making a random character today. This is just a warm up. We're going to jump back to our previous character we've been working on. I want to start with a little warm up, make a random creature, see where it goes. How focused are you on world building when you start a new sculpture? That's a good question. Like this one, not at all. I definitely try to think about, where the character would live, what their environment would be, why they would be there, all that stuff. So in that way, yes, quite a bit, but it's not like the primary thing I'm thinking about. Not with like every, stroke. Maybe I should be. Ankles look like your dog. Yeah, I'm assuming you have some sort of maybe like a pug Shar-Pei, Frenchie. King Corso, yeah. Those are beautiful dogs. Those are big, aren't they? Almost like a Mastiff, from what I recall. But yeah. All right, we're probably close to the end on this sketch. A lot of places I think this could go, which is good. But I'm not entirely sure, how much more time today I want to spend on it. Put this back in the folder, save this in a second, and we'll continue. I think, yeah, we'll get some last little touches in there before we move this thing forward. Do I like that more or less? That part, probably less, but I like that proportion more than that one. The Deep Sea King from One Punch Man. You know what? I've read some of One Punch Man, but not too far, and I've never watched anything like that. So I've always seen, from what I've seen, it seems super cool. I'm sure I'd like it though. Yes, he's huge. Mastiff breeds get big. Yeah. I had a couple friends in high school who had a lot of Mastiffs. They were huge dogs. So gentle and sweet, though. I loved them. All right. Let's pull this. Let's mask this. Pull this out. And this will be probably the last adjustment we'll really do. When I say that, that means I'm gonna like noodle around for like 10 more minutes before I actually stop. So at some point you just got to put the pencils down. All right, let's save this in our folder of sketches. We're gonna go ahead and get started. On our character. Somebody said Deep Sea King, so I'm going to name this as Deep Sea King. All right. 231 pounds. Whoa, that's a huge dog. Wow. Wow. That is a full-on monster. Okay, we're working on our other character today, so let's go ahead and jump into that. I'm going to switch my mat cap. I'm going to jump over here. So here we are with our reptile and a hero. Today we're going to be working on the costume a little bit. Am I using Blender? No, we're using ZBrush today. Use ZBrush in the majority of my streams, the Art Jam streams here. We stream a bunch on the channel, by the way, so if this is your first time ever checking out the Gnomon channel, whether you're on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, any of those, we do stream a bunch, and we'll also be streaming on Friday with a Blender event. So check that out. It's on our social media. Maybe one of the mods in here can send a post to that. I think it's on Friday Pacific time at 11:30, but I might be wrong. So we'll get that over here in just a sec. So this is the character we've been working on. This is the character with all of its costume and all the coloring on it from before. So we're going to basically, over the past 2 or 3 weeks, we've been dialing this up slowly, bringing up the level of detail slowly from basically the sketch, just like you saw me doing a sketch of that quick idea and the warm-up, bringing it all the way up to that. So we have some adjustments that I've made to the body so that the costume no longer fits, but we're going to use this as a reference point. And we're going to work inside out. So we had started on the body, which is why this character here is nude and has a slightly different paint job than the rest of it. We'll turn that off for now, though. And then we will be working first on these straps. So these straps, I was kind of inspired by CrossFit. You look CrossFit tape specifically I was looking at. There's a lot of these tapes that they would kind of have. We'll take off this one's blue armor and the poncho and the pelts here, and you'll see what this was kind of doing. And so we're going to start with these, and first we're going to be making them separate individual meshes. We're going to use the topology brush, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to use it as a reference point before we get going too far. So here we go. Let's see. Come in here. I'm just going to go back and forth really quick and get some of this out of the way so that I don't have to bounce them back and forth between the other tools too often. So you can kind of see what I'm seeing here. I ended up changing the pose, in case you're wondering why I'm doing this. I ended up changing the pose. I ended up changing a little bit of the proportions of everything, and that basically messed up these underlying meshes that I was using as guides. So this will just help me a little bit as I move forward. Looks like we just got the event posted on our chat. So if you're interested in checking that out for a Blender event this Friday, 2 days from now, Kendrick C will be showing off some awesome concept art using 3D, specifically using Blender. Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. All right, let's just reproportion a couple of these things. You can see some of these really don't fit anymore. That's all right. We'll make it work. All right. My goal for today is to get this done relatively quickly. And my goal is also to maybe, if this is working and if I can find a way to integrate this a little bit, do a render, even if it's just a bust. I haven't done any illustration or illustrative renders for a little while, and I kind of want to do that to kind of make sure that this is a direction that I want the character to go. So even if we don't get all these straps all the way done, probably around in about an hour, I'll start transitioning over to doing some rendering of just the character without all this stuff, maybe a bust or something like that, to explore it a little bit further. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make some straps. I'm kind of debating on how I want to do these. I know what tool I want to use, but I don't want to draw on top of this mesh because I want it to be pretty tight to the body. So I want to see if this even works, to be honest with you. I'm going to turn this off. I have another piece of geometry in here. You'll see it's just this star. It's sitting inside their body. And I'm going to go to my topology brush, which is right here. It's also in here. If you just hit B, P, it's going to be the second one. Thank you. What I can do is I can just draw a line on this, 2 lines. And this works like this, where I can now create polygons. And if I'm going to tap outside of the mesh, it will create a thickness based on the size of my brush size. So the bigger the brush size, the smaller the brush size, the strap that it will create, which is good because I want to be able to draw these straps, make them individually really quickly. And so I'm probably going to be hovering and turning this thing on and off quite a bit to make sure that the lines that I'm drawing are going in the right direction. The reason I don't want this on is because, if you'll see when I turn this on, it's actually going to draw over that line. And if I do that, for example, if I try to trace this, what we'll find is that it's going to create some weird, well, aside from the fact that I just drew a triangle, whoop, whoop, whoop. It creates a little bit of some weirdness where it's trying to create these transitions. So I'm going to use it more just as a reference point than anything. My brush, I'm switching to be a slightly larger brush. What this larger brush does, you'll see, is it creates less points. I'm trying to not be too aggressive with it. I know that I can also adjust this later, so I don't necessarily need to be perfect. But we'll go ahead and give it a shot. Never hurts to try. Continue that line down. Not perfect, but it'll be okay. Get these somewhat evenly spaced. Make some decent quads here. Symmetry is on, just so you know, so I can capture the other side. Oop, click. See some of the shapes that I'm making there are not necessarily ideal. Let's go ahead and we can make that one. I think I might make this little edge here. So we know that that basically comes off like this. And then maybe we'll just do like a series of lines. Corner to corner is probably better. And then like that. That'll do. We'll undo this last one just to make it a little more angular. That sounds good. At this point, I can just come in here and move. They will be creased, so if I do add subdivision, if I do add subdivision levels, the ends will be fine. Just kind of move this around a little bit. This is where I will turn this on and say, okay, let's just move the whole thing just a little bit. What you'll notice is eventually the sketch is going to go away. And just this stuff will remain. All right, so let's go back into our topology brush. Let's see, this one needs to go just a little, we're going to do this section, I think. Not too bad. Hello, hello, welcome to the stream, everybody. We're making some straps. Just again, just going to move these in position. It's going to look, you know, especially at the beginning, worse. It's going to look a lot worse, but that's okay. Right now, we're just getting those bases in. Eventually, we won't even need the guides anymore. Hello, I see people joining the stream. Hello, hello. Welcome to Art Jam. In case you've never been to Art Jam, we're sculpting in ZBrush today. The point of the stream is to just kind of make some stuff on stream. You're all allowed to ask and contribute and ask questions about process or anything about that. And if you want, you're more than welcome to follow along, try to do what I'm doing, or you can use this stream as an accountability partner or work on your own projects, whatever works for you. That brush must be amazing for retopology. It is. In fact, it's called the topology brush. So it's actually quite good at that. Really good, in fact. So you kind of see why I'm not using the guides, and that's because the original sculpture, aside from not being, you know, it was a sketch to begin with, so it's not necessarily a shape that I want to keep perfectly. It's kind of hovering off the mesh kind of oddly. So it's a great reference point to know, you know, what shape I want to make and where that shape should go, but it's not necessarily what we want to do for like the actual final model. So we're getting these in. Let's do some of these other ones. These big circle pieces, I'm not 100% sure what I want to do with those yet. Not too bad. If there's any adjustments I need to make, I can always do those later. You can kind of see how this is basically just slowly piecemeal adding piece by piece, kind of those additional layers to the character. But it does it in a way that's very controlled, which is what I like. I know there's going to be this sort of underlying piece here. I'm just going to go ahead and make like one large set of polys for this. Looks like that's not fully there. Something's going on. Just redraw that line. There we go. That's better. Cool Lizard Man, thank you. Yeah, we're still working on this quite a bit, but we're gonna try to get this pretty far today. I might at least want to get this top part done, and maybe I'll add some more to this middle part of the costume that doesn't really, you know, make any sense there. So I think we'll get to a good spot today. Let's see. Is this character for a game? No, the character's not for a game, just kind of making it for myself. Debating how like nicely these need to be organized. In an ideal world, the answers vary. But you know, do I want to spend time sculpting on these? Do I just try to do ZModeler with them? You could do both. This is the previous version where everything was kind of intact. So I'm just trying to make sure that at least for this upper body part, that I'm capturing most of the pieces that I want, that was intended to be there, I guess. I'm gonna use this one as like a guide. Oops. On the wrong subtool though. Is it going to be animated at the end? Not necessarily animated. The layer which is on the body, all this stuff would move. You know, this is sort of like some sort of a sci-fi suit of some kind, I imagine, almost like a, you know, this Crisis. I don't remember what the word for the suit in Crisis was, but something like that for this type of a character. So something like that is kind of what I'm imagining, but it's it would all be animated at some point, but this will likely be a series of illustrations and a series of 3D prints, more so than a game character, an animated film character, or something like that. All right, so I know that there's going to be some objects that are going to go like here, and there's also going to be an object that's going to go here. So that stuff is pretty much there. There's some weirdness going on in the elbows. There already was, as I'm looking at it, like I kind of needed to find exactly what this is going to be. But there was also, if I show you the next pieces on top of that I'll probably want to figure out as well. Yeah, nano suit, that might be it. Thank you very much, chat. AJ. I think I might try to get like this middle piece not done, but sculpted as like a new element in the other one. I don't know. Like I said, I want to try to get a render done today. So I'm going to get these pieces made, which you can see right here. And we'll see where they go and kind of what the plan is. This is very sketchy, meaning like what I've actually made in the previous sculpture is very loose. And so I'm trying to kind of decipher here, now that I've added these new elements, what exactly this is going to be made of. You know, if there's a pattern on the strapping, is it in the strapping itself? Is there an edging to the strap? You know, so now I'm kind of getting to the details of what I'm actually making, which is a challenge, but it's also one of the more fun parts because you know, now I'm making the actual thing, whereas before in this iteration or any of these previous iterations, it's kind of a sketch, and that sketch's job is to help inform, you know, what's going to be made, but it's not intended to be the final result. All right, let's see what we got here. This comes with all these nice polygroups, which is awesome, so that I can kind of hide these. What this is, I can mask this, for example. I'll invert the mask so you can see it. And now what I can do is I can adjust the thickness by just kind of pulling on this. So if certain areas need to be thicker or thinner, they're not going to look like this, but you can see what I can do with that, which is really cool. But right now all I'm really doing is just starting to hide this and get this kind of in more appropriate zone. I'm going to start intersecting these so that one will sit on top of the other one. If I smooth these out, you'll kind of see how it has creases in them already. And it has, that's what this, if I zoom in really tight, this double line right here is a crease. So I don't need to worry about it retaining that shape, which is nice. I just need to kind of define the thicknesses of everything, where things are going to go, what's going to sit on top. So this is kind of a tedious step in the process. It takes a little bit of time because, you know, you're just sorting. This is like when you, if you've ever assembled IKEA furniture, it's like you got to get all the pieces out of the box and you kind of lay them out on your floor. You make sure that they're all there, they're all labeled, or that you have them all, or you know where they are, and you read through the instructions a couple times. Nothing makes character creation, character sculpture sound super sexy like relating it to building IKEA furniture, but that's kind of the way I think about it. That's kind of the way I think about it. We're just being set up is really what we're doing. Do you use the poly paint as texture, or do you texture in other programs? I like to use the poly paint as a starting texture to help me inform other future textures. Question though, very good question. Some people can poly paint good enough to make it their final result. I cannot. So that is other people's skill set, but not mine. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Make sure I put it in my right folder, otherwise I'll never find it again. Good question, though. So you'll see what it's kind of doing. If I undo all of this just really, really quickly, before and after, just of this front kind of area that we have, like in the chest area, just organizing those shapes. Do this to every one of these, push them in, pull them out. Make sure that they're sticking out enough. Make sure they make sense. If I need to, I can add edge loops in here. Going to the ZModeler, come in here, add an edge loop just in the middle. Not hard. Do that on any of these. So if for some reason it needs to bend more, which this one was kind of giving me some issues. You can see it's sticking through, but the edges were fine. So that's why I went in here, added a quick edge loop, and now I can pull that edge loop up. In all likelihood, I'll end up doing that to all of these at some point. Like even in here, you can see kind of the same thing. I probably want to come in here, add a middle edge loop, add a middle edge loop. You can see even that right away fixed that problem. This is an interesting artifact. If you ever see this type of stuff while you're working, where it looks okay and then it doesn't look okay, you can actually see the polygon itself trying to tear itself. And that's because if we kind of go down this, it's true, even though there's no triangle here, you can see that it's taking the polygon because of the way that it's warped, and it's trying to create a face. So if we add a place for it to create a new face, it'll actually fix that problem for us. And then all we have to do is just kind of come in here real quick and use our move brush. Now, also use the move topological brush. Now that they're all separate pieces, I can make my brush size really large this way, and it won't affect the other one. So if you're, whereas you were watching me mask all the time, I probably could have done this faster without masking. Let's go ahead and do that again. Just kind of put some of these center poly edge loops here. Pop all these out. What's going on in this elbow here? Just some shape, huh? Does that go into another thing? It does. See, so some of this we're not really going to see because there's going to be this other piece of armor underneath it. I did want to find a way to make this piece kind of feel more, I don't know what the right word is, but sustainable by itself, like that it doesn't need to have this piece on top. So I'll probably create some bridging element here. So we'll just do that really fast. Let's just take that topology brush one more time. Do it really simply. I don't want it to go all the way up there. We're going to be able to adjust this afterwards in a second. So this will be some sort of a webbing that will go like this. It's not creating the shape I was hoping it would create. I think because I was using the snap. Yeah. All right, we'll snap that out. We'll just kind of grab this, pull it across the middle, even across the middle here. That's all right. It's going to look weird at first. We're just going to try to drag it all the way across. I'll undo that more so that some of those that didn't make it all the way are guaranteed to go across. That seems all right. Yep. Since nothing else except for the back, which is actually totally fine, is crossing, I can come in here and I can do a mirror and weld. And this should help. Ooh, not help. We'll make it a separate piece then. We can have a seam in the middle for some reason. This is how they take it off. But I can come in here and add that additional polygon, which you see right there. And now I can unmask this using that move topological. Some piece that's in the middle. We'll figure that out in a little bit. Design-wise, should probably be more interesting than just a random element. Let's try to line it up with this a little bit so that it makes a little more sense. There we go. Some sort of a chest thing. At this point, I'm also turn on symmetry. Going to turn some of these shapes and adjust them a little bit more to the body so that they fit. That's one thing about the design process, especially if you're designing your own characters. That process never really ends. You're always kind of tweaking to the very end. Does this look good? Does this not look good? Does this fit the character? Does this not fit the character? Very normal. I'll use this other sketch now and then to say, like, was this what I wanted? Just mask it so it's a little easier to grab. This piece was thicker than some of the other pieces. All right. So from here to here, this is where we're kind of at. Now at this point, we can go a couple different ways. I'm going to add something here in the shoulders. Pretty easy to adjust. For example, if I just wanted to maybe do an insert, I could do a insert machine parts, right? There's a ton of these things. So we could do like a recessed disc. That would be easy. Recessed dial. Also pretty easy. This is kind of what I was thinking. We can see what ZBrush already has for us. A standard dial. No. Flywheel. Probably not. Heat transfer. Interesting. Probably a little too designy though. We could obviously make our own shapes if we'd like to. One of these recessed ones actually isn't that bad though. Or one of these like exhaust pipes. It's probably a little big, but you kind of get the hint of what I'm going with. Mech shaft. No. Let's check out some of these other ones. I think we were in machine parts, industrial parts. If you just hit M, you can also see these. I know that I don't want any of these specifically. The gun has a lot of pieces in it. So, you know, maybe I want something like this. I could squish this down. That might be interesting. Or I could spend time designing my own shape. This looks like a bullet. What if we rotated this? Is that cap going to look weird? Kind of more along the lines of what I was thinking. Oh boy. Hang on there. But then I don't really like all those dots. So let's undo that. See if there's anything else that we can find. Tank tread, bullets. No, no, no. Body parts, clothing. Let's see what the clothing's got. Dots, snap buttons. Nice thing about this is when we end up dividing it, this is kind of what that'll look like. I don't like that snap button, but kind of nice. A knot. Boolean shapes. These are nice because they're kind of like this. This is kind of close. Just something kind of basic that we can maybe even sculpt off of. Even this ring design, I know this is something that you use for booleans, but something in there. We'll very likely end up using some booleans on this. Kind of going through all these pieces and just kind of seeing what the model kits have. There's a ton of stuff in here. The downside is this will obviously be very visible. So somebody will immediately know that we're using a insert mesh brush, which is kind of why I don't want it to be something super iconic. So we'll very likely just go with one of these booleans. Something simple. All radar? That's kind of interesting. It's a little deep. Take the port access one. I think this is the simplest one that I liked. I'm going to have to take it and smash it. Misdirection. Thank you very much for joining. Appreciate you being here. This is kind of all I want. I don't really want all this. Definitely don't want any of this. So comparing to what we have, it's quite a bit larger. So I'm going to have to kind of come in here. I'm just going to place it roughly where the other one was. Downside of using anything spherical, cylindrical, any perfect squares, anything like that, is as soon as you use a shape like this, you now need to be really careful, because if you warp it, it's very visible, which is a concern. So something to be aware of. So as I'm switching these back and forth, I'm being conscious of the size of the silhouette, the size of the straps. That's something I'll very likely be adjusting as we move forward. Now I can spend some time, and I'm thinking about it right now. Just kind of sculpting these in a little bit more, giving myself some more topology to play with, and getting these closer so that there's some sort of an overlap. This one had like a very clear shift in the plane of that, so I'm going to try to get that back. Much larger here, huh? Definitely losing some size of this, which I don't really want. Some of it is just the size of the actual object. Some of it is how these are placed. But a little bit of work in the beginning will actually save you a ton of work later. I kind of had this like, I don't know what the right word is, but this casing to this piece that I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to make it. Kind of decide what I'm going to do with some of these shapes. So here, let's just try this. Keep this, keep this, keep this, keep this. Invert, mask, invert, mask. Those are now the same poly group, which isn't really what I wanted. That's okay. I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to try it. Make like a cohesive shape with this thing. Well, it kind of works. This one needs to be adjusted pretty bad. Making that bigger globally. That's why. Wrong spot. Like you can kind of see in this other version, there's a blue sort of arm pad that all that stuff is going to dive into. So I'm not super concerned about that right now. But I do want to find a way to make it make sense at some point. So I don't know. But otherwise, I'm feeling pretty good about this. If I quickly come in here. Quick subdivision levels, let's see what it looks like. Perfect, but you can kind of see how those straps are much cleaner, especially compared to this version. These have all this texture on it, so if you imagine that the texture isn't there, you kind of get a better sense of where this is going to go. The texture is really easy to add. We can come in and we can sculpt it individually. Right, we can come in and do that. That'll be much cleaner. Or another thing we can do is we can also, since these are poly groups, we can come in here. We can actually add some more poly groups, and then I might be able to add or UV these so that there's a texture or a displacement or a normal map on these as well be another way to do that. So I can kind of confine it to a certain direction, which is I think what I actually want to do. So feeling pretty good about how this is going. It always looks slow though when you're starting. There we go. I couldn't get that color though. I like this darker color. So I'm going to come in here. RGB is on. Make sure you have RGB on when you do this, but you go to color, fill object. Now that means that this object isn't going to be highlighted all the time. It's actually the consistency in the same color as what was there before, which is exactly what we want. Let's see, anything else we want to add on this piece before we continue? Not really. I just could have continued down the back. I didn't really do that. Might make sense for it to be another piece though. I did say around 3:30, so that would give us an hour and a half left in the stream. Around 3:30, I want to get into illustration. So I have about 20 minutes to get this to a point where it's at least kind of presentable. If we're not there, that's okay. We're not necessarily there yet, and I don't think we'll be there, but that's okay. I'm just covering the tops of all these polygroups. This is my thought. I'm going to mask all this. Let's see if this even works at all. Yeah, kind of. I was going to see if I could do a quick thickening, but I don't need to do that right now. Part of me wants to separate these into individual polygroups. That will expand the amount of polygroups we have substantially. But it will probably be, not polygroups, subtools, excuse me. Let's just try it real quick. So I'm going to mask one. I'm going to hide it. I'm going to take this piece with it. We'll make like some natural groupings. So what I'm going to do is subtool, split hidden. You'll see that now is down here. So this is its own Z tool, or subtool, not Z tool. So I'm going to hide that so that I know what I've selected. And then when I come in here, select these. I keep these circular pieces as another element. I'm going to hide these again. So now this is one piece and this is one piece. Geometry, sorry, subtool, split hidden. Great. Do the same thing on these last back pieces. And then this can be its own. Hide this, and that can just be geometry delete, and we don't need that star. That was just to get us started. So now that I've got all these pieces, I can also work on them individually. This is the kind of way you slowly build up your tool, right? Over time, you're going to be working on an object. You're going to be, slowly making it better and better and better. And the easiest way to do that is to isolate those pieces so that now we can go through them individually and do whatever we need to do to them. But we can also sculpt on them way, way easier because, let's say we'll work on this one. I can now add subdivision levels. This is, whereas if I was subdividing everything, all the other polygons be in a count, I can take this to a much higher polygon count now than I would have been able to. The first thing I'm going to do I think I'm going to add I'm going to save. I'm going to save. The first thing I think I'm going to do is I was going to add some edge loops and to create some creases and see how this feels. If I go into our ZModeler brush, I can quickly add some of these. Right? There are other ways I think to do this. If I come in here, insert multiple edge loops, this will be like what? There we go. A lot of them. I don't want to do that right now, but it is a thing we could do. Interactive resolution, yes. Specified elevation. This would give it a bump or let's give it like a negative. Oh, that was a lot of negative. Okay, that's going to be a 0. Per average, normal, alternate, same, keep poly group. And we'll just do it as a single. What I wanted to try was basically adding an edge loop here and here, adding an edge loop here, because it didn't have one. It also needs one here. You could also crease, but I'm just going to add those edge loops. What you'll see what that does differently is that now is sharper at the end, whereas these are softer. So that's what I just did to that. And this I want to probably extrude or Q-mesh. Q-mesh, edge loop complete. Nope. It's connecting some things, which is pretty cool. I'm still learning a lot about ZModeler, so I'm trying to remember how to do this. I've just been working myself into this as a practice thing. What's the difference between saving a tool and saving a project? Good question. A tool is in each individual one of these up here, so I can switch between them all. A project saves all of them at once. It also saves all your camera moves, all that fun stuff as well. I know it's saying edge loop, but I want an edge ring. Subdivs are the ones where it's used in game engines for example assets, question mark. No, subdivisions are in ZBrush right here. You can add or divide an object. What that'll do is it basically takes every polygon you have and it turns it into 4 polygons. So if you had a big square, it's going to turn, imagine my screen here is 1 polygon. It would add 1 big line here and 1 big line here, and this would turn into 4. So we can do that really quickly. You'll see this is 1 big polygon. If I hit Control D, it looks like nothing happened. But if I go up, you'll see now 4 polygons. So as I add subdivision levels, it's adding 4 times the amount of information. All right. Chad, if anybody knows how to do this, I'm also open to help. I know that I need to, I think it's like Control, no, Shift, no, Alt. There it is. Like a temporary polygroup. And that means I should be able to push it in a little bit. This was my original idea. When I do that, I want to make a new polygroup, but I don't think it's going to do that. What this can do, just so you know what I'm attempting to do here, is now when I subdivide, I'll turn the polyframe off. We'll even turn this color off so you can see it a little bit better. It adds like a nice little edge to this. We do this a couple ways. We can add subdivision loops or crease these, which right now there's nothing there. So if we came in here, I just want to be on insert. All right, we could add some of these or crease these. So you'll see that adds a little bit of a level of detail which wasn't there before. I could go on it and do all of these like that, which is kind of my thought what I'll probably do. But I'm going to undo that really quick. First, this needs to be given that. This needs to be given that. Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream, everybody. We're about halfway in right now, just about halfway, and I'm going to start getting into some rendering stuff. We'll end up, just because the straps are taking a little longer than I wanted to, trying some new techniques and different things with them. We'll probably just work on the head for a little bit, do an illustration of that. How's it going? It's going very well. Thank you for asking. It's hot in this garage, though. I'm not going to lie. It's been hot in Los Angeles. It's been like 100 and, it was like 97 or something, 100 yesterday. I didn't really keep track, but it was hot. Let's hide these other ones. This is part of why I also like making these here, because now I don't have to think about them. Just focus on one piece at a time. Now you can go about this and do it all in ZModeler, which is totally reasonable. Or you can use dynamic subdivision, which is in here. You see, I've already added subdivision levels. I didn't want to do that. You can use dynamic subdiv, which is right here, which kind of does the same thing, but it doesn't actually add the subdivision levels. 120 Celsius, what? It's a lot smoother surface, but is it going to consume more memory and triangles? I assume you're talking about all the straps. No, actually, not as much, because you're breaking up each section into multiple subtools. ZBrush really excels at handling a lot of different subtools. What I mean by that is, let's say you had this whole character here, in every piece of it was one subtool, and you divided it up to the resolution you would need. You would probably need, let's say, we'll choose our big random number, 100 million polygons, right? A single subtool at 100 million polygons is going to chug pretty slow. But if we broke it out into 100 subtools that were each 1 million polygons equaling 100 million, the file itself would probably be less of a file size, and because it's only dealing with each of those individual ones at a time, it's not that bad either on your overall computer. So part of what ZBrush is so good at is dealing with really large amounts of polygons, and it does that by breaking them into lots of smaller, more consumable chunks for your computer, basically. If that makes sense. Let's go ahead and just do that one strap section, and then we'll continue. We might end up painting on this pretty heavily. That's all right. I want to try, I think I want the middle to be bumped up. I was just kind of playing with that mentally as I was doing this. So let's try what I was just doing. Let's isolate this. We'll come in here. We're going to go into ZModeler. We're going to add our polygon right here. I don't like how close it gets down here, I'll be honest. Into this section, it's a little tight for me. So pull that back so it feels more equal to what we had before. I'm going to hold down Alt in our ZModeler brush. It's going to make a temporary polygroup. And go all the way to here. And then I think we were just Q-meshing that. What does that look like? That feels better to me. This kind of more puffed up look. All right, let's do this again. So we can hide this. You can use some hotkeys. I've used to make a lot of things for visibility. There's no hotkey for this. I think Alt-H is what I used to use. Apparently that's already for something, but we've now commandeered it for Alt-H. BZM for our modeler brush. On our edge, insert an edge loop. Make sure they're kind of the same size. Okay. Go back to our temporary poly group we're going to make. Great. Show everything. We'll just Q mesh it to roughly the same area, which is nice. When this gets subdivided, those will kind of have a similar appearance, which I'm happy with. And now I can also later take this, because it's a new poly group. So you see it's added these sections. I can turn off that green as well, and probably this pink as well. And just in here, I can probably texture these. So I could mask them, I could split them off, I could do whatever I want to them now. Before I had this texture on a lot of things, and now that I can control that, I can also just put it just in the middle of this surface rather than encompassing the whole surface, which will make it feel more like an actual strap, like how a strap is constructed, unless it's like a nylon or something like that. Now the next question is, what is this thing? Great question. Well, it was really sketchy and a bunch of lines, so I could either sculpt it in, which is totally reasonable. I could try to do the same thing. And let's just go ahead and try it in ZModeler real fast. For some reason is it welded to this? It shouldn't be. Oh. I think it is welded. Somehow we welded that at some point, so that's okay. Nobody's going to see that. Except everybody watching. That was probably when I Q-meshed. I think it somehow joined that together. That's fine. So I'm going to use the existing topology of this to attempt to design within it. I'm going to mask it. I'm going to use this. We'll make 1, 2, 3, 4 scallop pieces here. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to go back where I kind of isolate this. We're going to go into our ZModeler brush. I'm going to just try this. And do one. Don't want it to snap. Trying to bring it past it, or at least close, just enough so it doesn't snap. Maybe if I just extrude, that's probably the better way to do it, huh? See what that looks like. Not too bad. We just need to add an edge loop in here. It's adding it over there, which I didn't really want, but it is creating the shape. There's something going on here, whatever I just did. I like that more, actually. We'll leave it at that. Doesn't have to be exactly the same. I really wish I had not have Q-meshed that together, which was frustrating. But we'll make it work. Just going to spend a little time overlapping this, making sure it feels like it's stacked on top of that one. And that is what that piece will look like. You can also come in here and use your geometry, use your dynamic subdivision. This is actually easier to sculpt in if you're using this. Looks like I should add something here, huh? Something weird going on in there. It wants me, I think, to do this. At least that's what it feels like. I don't really want to do that, though. I don't want to. It's because it's got a single crease. That's what it is. I think. Uncrease. Uncrease. I'd like to figure out this section right here. So I could probably just crease this. Just do the whole edge loop. It's not going to hurt anything. And since I did the whole edge loop, I can probably just come in and push this design-wise. I can just take this, use dynamic subdiv, turn this off, and push it in or out. If I push it out, I'll hide the mask. I can get this kind of effect. If I push it in, I can get this kind of effect. I think the in is going to be more effective. So we'll just kind of keep that as a little design flair there. Because it is creating a shape, I do want to kind of guide it a little more. I might just want to come in here and like taper with some of that. That's fine. Something I'm looking for is I'm always trying to make sure that these lines and stuff are consistent. The attachment points seem close. This I'm going to have to fake because like I was saying earlier, I joined those two pieces on accident. So we're just going to pretend that goes in there. Otherwise, we're getting pretty good with that one. I feel like that's a much more refined shape than what we had before. And it's not using a million polygons. This is only using, well, we're using dynamic subdiv, which adds, I believe, 2 levels of what I'm using right now. Yeah. But that's nice because you can kind of see what this was. We'll turn off the color on this just so you can kind of get a better sense. This is the after. And if I hide this and show this, this is the before. So the sketchy phase where you're starting to understand exactly what all this is. And then the stuff on this side, the far side, is going to be cleaner, which is nice. And then obviously I can come in, the cool thing about all this is I can come in here, hide this, show this. I'm going to use turn off dynamic subdivision and add real subdivisions, which I don't need to do right now. But now if I could come in and I could sculpt this, creating that texture, It's very low resolution, as you can tell. It's also its own polygroups. All of this is. So I could come in here. I could invert this, do some painting if I wanted to add some extra additional color. Right, this is already primarily set up to be colored whatever color I want it to be. Or I could continue adding subdivisions, and I could add a noise to that. So I think if I come in here and go to what is it called? Noise, surface, noise. There's noise makers. We'll just pick something that hopefully has a texture to it. You can see that that's only happening in that area here. Apply to mesh. You can see if that was a fabric and that was high enough resolution, I can basically come in here and do that. So let's do it as a quick test. Come in here. Let's make this 1,000,000 polys. Mask this. Invert this. Noise maker. There's got to be a fabric in here, right? There's nothing more sci-fi than honeycomb, though. Right? Scale of the alpha. Let's see what we're working with. This color. Okay. See what we got. Just kind of nice. Hide the mask. Don't necessarily like that, but you can kind of see what we're getting at. I can now apply it to the mesh. It needs to be a little higher resolution, but you can see that little texture that we just put on there. We could also just make it so that the noise comes on and off. So the one is white or black. How would you compare ZModeler compared to Max and Maya? Completely different, honestly. Not even close to the same. You're using, I think it's equally powerful, and especially all the tools they've added over the past couple years. But I don't necessarily think that it's like a standard way of thinking when it comes to modeling. It's just so different of the way that you approach it. Just completely different, honestly. It's really difficult to say like this is how it should be done. I want a different noise though. I don't know what that pattern. I had just a bunch of lines before. So let's try this. We'll go into edit. We'll do change down the scale, noise scale. There we go, plug in scale. I had a bunch of lines before. I probably need to rotate them, which I think is like this. Not that one. Oh, there we go. That is a sphere in there. There we go. This is the one we want. So if I wanted to have like this angle that might match, I think this is close to the angle. I probably want to go up a little bit in the scale. Not that much. We'll make it black. Hit OK. You can see how you can change that out nice and quick. And this is great because I can get, like, let's say I was working with an art director or somebody else. I can say, is this what you want? Cool, yes or no. Obviously that we would want to fix. And if we like it, we can hit apply. That looks like it didn't do too much for us. I'm not entirely sure why it's not. Either way, we could check out different patterns, and that's probably what we can do. The nice thing is once it's on there, you can move from object to object and use the colors that you had. I forgot to add the subdivision levels. That's probably right. But anyways, that was more of an example of how this one had a bunch of textural elements to it, and we can kind of add that and keep that as we see fit. So I'm going to play around with this more, but I'm not going to do it right now. I want to get into a little bit more stuff. So this is actually something I'll do quite a bit. We'll keep that color on there. We'll just kind of come in here from the surface noise, and we'll just edit it so that this is kind of like a gray. It's not super says it's 1.3 million. I don't know why it's not working, but I like that this has this sort of a subtle effect anyways. So this is going to be what we're going to go with, or at least what we're going to start moving. Now, I am actually pretty happy with that was going. I did say I was going to stop and do a render. That was working pretty good. I think we could get it pretty far if we just do these straps, to be honest. Just start strapping it up. I think we're going to do that. I know I just pivoted midstream, which if you've ever watched the stream is not rare. We do that I do that. But I think we'll get a lot further. I'm going to just put these all up in the same spot. It'll feel more satisfying to get this all done. I'm all about satisfying right now. Let's get this piece done. All right, so let's color it the same color. Cool. Color, fill object, great. We're going to go into our ZModeler brush. Boom. Now we're just going to start making stuff. Edge loop complete. Now I want to insert an edge loop. Nope, not an edge loop. Insert. Haha. So I'm going to randomly be hitting Control D. That's going to basically be checking that this is working. There are other ways to do this, I know, within ZModeler. I'm not as advanced in ZModeler as some. So I'm kind of just doing it more in the way that I used to work or continue to work in polymodeling. So I'm going to add all this in. No. There we go. See, anything that's like not sharp, I'm going to come in and I'm going to add these edge loops. There are ways to crease, yes. I don't like creasing as much because I feel like it doesn't give you as much control. That's personal choice. I know a lot of people who make amazing stuff with creasing. And I did use it a little bit just on that other area. So it definitely has its places. Right. So I'm going to try this a little differently this time. Since we're doing this all at the same time, let's try to do it all at the same time. I'm going to pop this piece out. So I've already kind of added my edges here. Let's try making that temp poly group on everything. We'll see how this goes. This may be a huge mistake. Computer's making some noise. I wonder why. Normally within ZBrush, it's pretty good. I'm not getting the inside of those, which is a mild concern. I know I want all those, and now I'm going to come in here. I'm just going to extrude them. I'm going to show everything. Is that about what these were? Let's see. I should undo all of this because I've added so many subdivision levels that I didn't actually want. There we go. Is that about the same? Yeah. and turn on our dynamic subdiv for this. Is there a hotkey for that? No, there's not. Let's put it on here. Contains two edges that are shared by two or more polygons. Okay. And is that this thing? Oh, what did I do? Oh, I must have just accidentally touched it. All right, let's push these into each other. Oh. Now, if this was a real model, I would not allow that to happen. But this is a model that will likely be used or mostly used for 3D printing and illustration. So it doesn't necessarily have the same requirements that something else like that would have. But the cool thing is you can kind of come in here and see how quickly pull this in here. You can see how quickly this really works once you get a little workflow in here. Which one was on top? I guess this one. Intersecting. I think this should go underneath. I don't like this tapering here. I know I'm pretty sure it was in the previous one. It's like more clear and like a more of a defined shape, whereas right now it's kind of just its own thing. So we're going to make it this line. How do we really taper it? Let's see. Looks like it's from the TMNT universe. Absolutely. I am totally cool with that. Maybe a little leatherhead. Isn't that the alligator's name? I think that was the character's name. So nice and clean. Nice and clean. Something weird going in the middle of that, but we'll fix that later. Let's go to the next ones. I think they're on the back. Yes, they are. So if you're trying to learn poly modeling for making props and learning the pipeline, you're probably best to start in 3ds Max or Maya instead of ZModeler. You started in ZBrush first. I would agree. I think starting in Maya or a traditional 3D package is probably a better idea. I think you know, for a couple of reasons, I guess, but I would probably, where does this go? Sorry to interrupt. It goes to this random thing that I didn't really think out. That'll probably be a sculpted piece, and I'll make these straps work. It'll be fine. Especially if you want to, you know how to make cinematic assets or things that, you know, I think just having the skills of, there we go, having the skills of being able to make stuff in a traditional package is gonna serve you really well. Not saying that this stuff in ZModeler is not useful. It's incredibly useful. It's an incredibly powerful tool, but I just think you're going to get a little bit more from a foundational level of knowing a traditional package. And then once you've got that, come in and learn ZBrush. Save. Even I'm stopping it from quick saving because it's going to try to save the whole project. I don't really want it to save the whole project. All right, let's go ahead and do these last straps here, and then we will be done with that. This is a support edge, in case you didn't know what that is. It basically creates place for the geometry to begin turning before it hits the edge. All right, that appears to be working. Definitely a weird thing going on here. Looks like I lost one of my edges. Okay. I kind of want to uncrease the middle. I think that's what's going on here. Let us crease. Aha. And now we'll add a set of polygons there. That'll give it a nice little rounded edge. It'll also let me, if I want to say, like, let's do it from here as compared to, you know, all the way in here. You can't see what I'm doing, but here we'll make a tighter edge. Here we'll make a different type of a form, which is actually kind of cool too. So we'll do that. All right, and we were doing what? We were doing straps. Hello from Melbourne. Hello. Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. All right, let's make these extrusions. So we're going to make those temporary polygroups, holding down Alt. Boop. Oh. Just try to make sure we get in here. No mess ups like last time. And then we'll extrude the whole outer part. And that should give us a nice little thing. It looks like we're getting some weirdness here. What's that from? That's from some random crease. All right, so we're going to go to crease. Not have that be creased. Let's not have that be creased. Okay. Something going on here. It's because that issue is coming from this, basically saying creasing all the way here, but not all the way there. And it's It's just basically getting confused as to what to do. You know, where should I crease? Where should I not crease? Is kind of what this is asking. Nice thing is that this is all pretty much done though. We're close. Can obviously move this around if I wanted to. Looks like there is a weird creasing issue there. It is going to be hidden. I was going to see if I could kind of line it up a little bit and see what that would look like. We weren't doing that before, so we won't do it now. This is actually much lower. This whole thing was much lower. Just that. I think this before was just a little chunkier. It's just not as appealing as what I had before. So I need to make some adjustments. Pretty easy to do though. There we go. There we go, some straps. So before, well, after. This is kind of what the before was looking like. We'll turn off all the color and everything so we can get an equal representation of what was here. So this is, we'll select the eyes so things aren't moving around too much. Turn everything on. Basically this, you just see the arms moving to this. So nice and clean. The texture, all these lines on it will come later. It's not important right now. And the cool thing about it being geometry is it's actually quite low res geometry. That means that if we need to make adjustments, it's actually really easy. Which is awesome. I'll have to do this on the whole body at some point. We have a bunch we can do on the abs. And I was saying I would do an illustration today. But again, out of things that need to get done on the character, an illustration would kind of just make sure that we're going in the right direction. But as I'm doing this, I'm feeling like this is starting to work. This is starting to feel pretty good. This is the older version, which would kind of look like this. So even if we're comparing them back and forth, we'll turn this off, we'll turn this off. I do this a lot where I go back and forth on my process and just kind of check myself. I think there's a lot I could still do, especially in this area. Like I don't love what this is looking like. The back one's more interesting than the front one, and maybe that's because of the size. So I could probably spend some time there with this one. The mask pen. There we go. Just wanting to create a little bit of a different profile for this. Like I did up here. I think I need to go one level higher. All right, Chad, I need some help from you. We got about an hour left in the stream. Would you all like to see me kind of go through a quick render process, quick paint illustration process, or do you think we should just try to get through these straps? Do a little bit more of that work. I could really go either way. The render is really just going to be for fun. It's not really going to be super useful for us. Kind of. Just making this shape that maybe makes a little more sense. You can always sculpt on this, and I very likely will. You imagine the caps have LEDs on them? Of course. Of course they do. What's a space barbarian without lights on them? Yeah, you gotta have LEDs. Yep. Most people are saying continue whatever. You know what? I think we go with the straps. Not the most exciting part, but the reason I want to say that is I want to get the straps done. And I think we're on a good track now with how I think we should do them. And that will help us for the future streams. Because my goal is to start getting to this character to a point where that's more interesting of a shape. Get this character to a point where the costume is pretty much done and we can start doing some keyframes and doing some fun stuff. So while the straps would be fun, or the render would be fun, and we will end up doing several of them at some point, they might be a little bit of wasted effort right now. So let's wrap this up. Wasted is the wrong term. Not productive. I should say, if I have any other circles anywhere, I'm going to want those things. Ah, that's okay. All right. Now, straps. Here we go. We got 3. This is actually a lot of work, though. This is a significant amount of like, hey, that's in a good space, especially having not really had a plan on how we were going to make it. Okay, so we got to make these pieces, which if we show the whole character here, this is what they were looking like. So we have a couple straps in the middle. This is pretty complicated, so we're going to have to figure that out. This is much more complicated. We probably won't touch those. So let's get just some of these abdominal ones working. We can come in. We'll do it on a new piece. We'll just append a star. Put it inside. There it is. And let's make that topology brush again. We're going to turn this on as a guide. First one's going to kind of go here. I'm going to try to do this a different way than I did before. Similar yet different. Last time I went a little slow. So we're going to try this a little slightly different way. Switching back and forth between things. Where's this supposed to go? Okay, okay, good to know, good to know. Okay. Basically what I'm going to attempt, I don't need to keep it a secret from you, is I'm going to try to do as many of them as possible all at once. What I thought was successful about the last approach was that I just went in the wrong direction. Was that once I was able to get all of those shoulder ones done at one time, I didn't really have to worry about it. So if I can get these all done at one time, I completed all of that at once. I just want that one gone. There we go. We'll save a lot of time here. Hopefully. All right, so these are going to be those. We're going to draw those for a second. We're going to probably start some other ones that are going to be here. That's that little circle that I should have kept. And let's hide this. All right, so we know this is going to be one. I think I should hide this piece for a second. So like go up in there or something. Pulling out my reference pieces. Okay, this will go, we'll just say it goes up in here. Okay. Let's do this kind of a thing. Does that make a shape? Nope. Sure doesn't. What? All right, we got some more to go. We got some more to go. See, this one needs to continue down, so that's going to be a bit of a challenge to do. We'll have to do that when we separate it, I think. I have an idea. We'll just do this the old school way. So this is going to be one. Whoop. Oh, that's not where you should have gone. There we go. Okay. This is going great. Hide this. I'm just going to do, why are you not making lines? Why are you not making lines? Hmm. Hmm. Great. That's not what I wanted. Okay, let's continue. That's fine. Oh, it's because of this thing. What is happening there? Oh. don't know why you're not working. But we'll make it work. I'm not going to fight it for too long. This is probably why people don't do it this way. I don't know if people don't do it this way. This is why I shouldn't have done it this way. Is look, I'm really fighting all of this having to work at the same time. Or attempting to make it all work at the same time. And even some of these that I would expect to work are now not working, which is actually quite frustrating. Should be able to Alt-Tab to delete that, but it's adding geometry. That's not what I want. Delete. No, no, no. All right, that's getting frustrating. That's enough for now. We're just going to tap this. Boop. That's fine with me. Go ahead and make some more lines. We've learned from our mistake. Don't try to do that many. But we got a lot done, actually. Topology brush. All right, back to our reference. This is one we want. This is going to go here. Cool. This is going to go here. This is going to go here. This. Just continue that line. Aha. See, this is where I always get confused. It's like, why is this one work fine, but the other one didn't work fine? Hold Alt and cross the line you want to delete. Ah, thank you. Thank you. This is why I love having you all here. See, why is this not going though? I think it's because when I drew it, this is actually the reason I shouldn't be using that reference piece, is because it's hovering off of another thing. So if I came in here and just went like this, and went like this, it would probably be fine. So that reference piece really should be just a reference piece. I don't know why. There we go. Make that there. This one I'm going to extend. I'm going to have to make a bunch of these here in a minute. I'm going to make a couple right in the middle. Do it on this side. Do we need these? Not really sure what I'm going to do with those just yet. Take that. I guess I should not do that right now, though. All right, let's start with these. This one, I'm going to actually go in here. I'm going to take this. I'm going to stretch it all the way over here. It's going to end here-ish, I think. Obviously, I need to mirror and weld this, so I'll go do that really quickly. Oh. It's local symmetry on. Needs to be mirrored. The whole piece needs to be mirrored, so we'll mirror that. Ah. Delete this now. I like having it mirrored just so I can see. All right, that's going to dive into there. We're going to have to sculpt or create some mess of stuff for this section because this was all kind of like a weird amalgamous area where it was all kind of being combined too. So that's going to be interesting. Let's just pull this up here. Should go all the way down there. This one I think was coming all the way down into this area. We're going to do the same kind of thing. We're just going to pull it. You know what? I'm going to come in here. I'm going to make this my number 8 brush. ZModeler just earned a spot on the hotkeys. About time. Needs to immediately not use said hotkey. All right. Go under. These need to be a little bigger. They can also have sections that flare up, which is fine. Like sections that are thicker than the rest. Might need to accommodate that with geometry, but I don't have a problem with that being how they look. Now these are kind of diving into like a central thing. So I said I should have saved one of these. Let's see if I load up the previous version. Did I have one or did I edit it? Nope. I don't. All right, we'll find it again. What did we use? What did we use? Let's get this thing up higher in the list. We used a insert mesh brush. I believe we used the machine parts. Nope. We used an insert mesh brush. Doesn't have to be the same thing though. It'd be nice if it was. I think it's one of these. And this could be a more basic one, since it's in the middle. But I also shouldn't be lazy because I can't find it. Oh, I like this one though. It was a boolean, wasn't it? Yep. Found it. Which reminds me of Transformers for some reason. Put the cube in my chest. Why is that what he has to do? Why does he put the cube in Optimus's chest? How does that not kill Optimus, but it does kill Megatron? Oh. Megatron is not worthy? Is that the real answer? It was supposed to destroy the cube, so Optimus was going to sacrifice himself, but then Sam did it to Megatron. But doesn't he actually put the cube in Megatron's chest? Or in Optimus's chest? And that like revives him? I've clearly mixed all these movies into one movie at some point, because I know that it's very confusing to me how that all works. Right, we're going to make one more, and then I'm going to mirror and weld this thing over. I'm going to make some of these middle pieces. That was the matrix of leadership. Yes, you remember that for some reason. Hey, whatever works for you. We're going to mirror and weld this thing. Do I need a couple more of those? I think I do. I need at least one more. I'm not entirely sure what's going to do this. Cyber cube. That's not the right word. This should come down way further, whatever this is. We got to create some sort of a network in here for this, because right now it's just turning into like a zone that is not working. And this needs another set here. So we got to do something in here. If we can figure that out real quick. Let's do this kind of across again. We'll make this section, and then we'll turn this on. I think we should do another set of lines that goes this way. Make those, okay, maybe not that big. Okay, maybe not that small. And then we'll do another set that goes this way. It's like some bigger ones. And these will like dive up in here. Okay, and then we need to start designing some lines that go down. So we'll tap this, get that in there. Okay, and then we're going to start making some lines that go this way. Right? Yeah. What happens if I do this? Well, I can't really split those. What if I did this? Like, could I just erase that line? Nope. Fine. We'll do it this way. Yeah. That'll work just fine. And then I don't know, this could just be sculpted into the thing, or we'll pull this piece down. At a certain point, these should probably rotate, right? A little bit. This we could do all as one chunk, but as we're organizing this, it might not hurt to do it a little in advance. And that can probably be the end of this piece. Just going to take it and warp it into a slightly different shape. All right, let's go ahead and mirror and weld this. Okay, I mean, it creased the middle, which I'm not a huge fan of, but generally, even though it looks like a weird mask now, that's a lot of good pieces that we've got. Knowing where those are all going to go too, which is great. So we can just start moving them. And that's, I think, the important thing to think about when you're doing this type of work is that that's not necessarily going to be, you know, the lines and the base meshes that you're making are they're just the lines and the base meshes, right? They're a base. So you can come in and warp it and tweak it and adjust sizes and tolerances and shapes and everything afterwards. It just gives you a really great base to make, you know, your overall adjustments on. So now we get to do some of that work which we were doing before, which is tedious and maybe not the most fun work, but it is important because it sets everything else up. So we can take this. Let's take some of these pieces. Let's stretch these up. This one will very likely be heavily sculpted. I just don't see this one. I see this one like just being a strap. So we're going to probably push that in. It's going to live under here. we are going to duplicate this piece. Oh, that doesn't actually look like what that was supposed to look like, does it? That was supposed to be more like this. You are supposed to be more like that. The matrix of leadership. I'll be honest, I forgot that was a thing. Is that the one with Leonard Nimoy? The second one? Let's start from the top. As, what was it, Sentinel? Sentinel Prime? I really can't remember. That was the third one. So I think the second one is Dark of the Moon, and I just clearly can't recall what Dark of the Moon was about. I remember the first one came out, though, and it blew my mind. I was graduating college. I was like, this is incredible. Second one was Revenge of the Fallen. See? Third was... So the second one in my brain is just completely gone. Revenge of the Fallen. I also have a problem with the Alien series. Alien 3 and Alien 4 have merged into one movie in my brain. I know they're not. I know one's a Dave Fincher movie. I think the third one. I know one has Ron Perlman. But for some reason, they're just all the same to me. All right, y'all. We're just kind of getting these straps done. We got about 30 minutes left in the stream. If anybody has questions about the process I'm working on or anything else, go ahead and shout out. I'm happy to answer. See if I can aid you at all. Otherwise, we're just kind of chipping away at this, but you can see that it's starting to get there. Ron Perlman was in the fourth one. See, I thought that was the third one. Which one was on the prison colony? Because I would say the third one. I know I'm probably wrong, by the way. Ron Perlman is in the fourth one. Right. Oh, this thing was in there. So we don't need to go crazy on this thing, but we'll put something in there. Some sort of like device. What's this next step after ZBrush? Do you move into texturing or into rigging? I rolled on my headphones. And which program would you use? The next step for me is going to be going into Photoshop, actually. I'm going to be rendering. I'm going to be going into Photoshop, going into ZBrush, or maybe doing illustrations from ZBrush, maybe from Maya, maybe from something else. Texturing-wise, if I were to texture this, and I'm definitely considering it, depending on the amount of use cases that I want to use it in, Substance Painter is what I would end up using. It's going to connect these two. Let's just say this one, for some reason, overlaps both of these and goes here. So what this is just problem solving at this point. You know, it's like, oh, this feels a little weird. Why does this feel weird? How can we fix it? And it's basically setting up the model to avoid or fix potential problems. So I know that, like, I don't want these to be over. I don't want there to be like gaps in between this. So I'm going to solve that problem right now by taking these pieces and I'm going to tuck them underneath this. And when I start seeing that poke through, which I know I will, because I'm making this pretty low tolerance to the body, I'll come in here. We'll just grab this and we'll merge it all the way to the bottom middle. This will be like a sort of underlying garment like this. Up, BZM. I could have used my hotkey, which I set up, but I didn't. We'll put that there. And then we'll take all these. Yeah, we're getting close. We're getting close with these. At a certain point, I might just do this, which is I'm going to take this one. I use my hotkey. Just going to get this in here. If you were to texture for illustration, would you make basic UVs on ZBrush or take it to Maya for nice UVs? It depends. You know, it depends on the project. This is a personal project, which means I can spend as much time on it as I want. If this was like, oh, you're doing this for production, a lot of this I probably wouldn't be doing for production, not to this level. Just to, as far as like, well, if it was conceptual, meaning going to be for illustration, I probably just wouldn't take it that far. Unless it was like, you know, that looks great. We want to see what it looks like as a final version. Then I might. But I'm still kind of up in the air. I have really been looking forward to and enjoying all of the stuff that's coming out of Unreal and Blender. So I am thinking about integrating that into this project. I don't really know either of them, so I would need to invest some time into learning them. But they're both tools that I really want to learn, so that's kind of why I'm debating that. Do I want to spend the time to learn those on this project? Not bad, not a bad time too. This needs to be resolved a little bit, but I think overall, this needs to go somewhere. Looks like it can just kind of stay like this. Also, Charles Dance as the Doctor. As the Doctor? Oh, we're talking about Alien 3 or 4? I don't remember. Right, so if I add subdivision levels, you kind of get a quick preview of what this will look like. It'll need a lot more work, but you can kind of see where this is going. This area kind of needs some resolution as far as what's going on there. But at least those straps are there. Because soon we got to get into all this armor stuff, which is all this. Well, that's not the one. It's all this. So this is also going to have stuff on it here, which is going to cover up a lot of what we're doing. So we'll want to start making those pieces as well, which would kind of be more exciting than all this strap work, which is why I'm not super concerned about the middle. More what's happening in here. And I think, at least from what I can tell, considering this is not visible, that'll work pretty well. It'll be nice and clean. So I think I can probably just run with what I've got here. Now this is just going to be a bunch of our new friend ZModeler coming in here. Probably split these up like this. Split those out. Let's do like this one, and this one, and this one. Oh. Doesn't really matter which one we're going with because they're both going to be their own groups. Cool. Oh, and this one, and this one. Cool. All right, so let's Z-model some stuff. This will be different too, right? Probably they just make the middle one separate. All right. Add this. I do want to keep because I had initially, when I did all this, certain ones will be textured and certain ones will be not. I can figure that out later. I think I'm going to keep the overall strap structure so they'll all have exactly the same thing. Oh, thank you for posting that. In the chat, in case you haven't seen yet, you can see our event tomorrow, Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific for a discussion about making garments in Marvelous Designer. So actually some of the team from Marvelous Designer has helped come in to help curate this event. And they'll be showing off how they've made different characters and costumes for stuff like, I believe it was Baldur's Gate. I think Far Cry was another example they might be using. So pretty cool costumes, obviously, in both of those games if you've ever checked them out. Baldur's Gate 3 specifically, not the older Baldur's Gate. And they're going to be talking about how they use Marvelous Designer for all that and showing off some cool tips and tricks and features. So check that one out tomorrow on whatever platform you're watching us on right now. YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. And then on Friday, we'll be having our Blender event, info session, I believe. And that's at 11, I believe. Was it 11? That was also just posted in the chat. So check those out. They should be really fun. I'll be tuning in myself for both of those. 11 a.m. Pacific tomorrow. Or sorry, on Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific. It's weird. It should not be making that shape, but that's okay. I feel like I give ZBrush a lot of extra leeway when it comes to ZModeler. Like, it's doing some things that I definitely don't want it to do, but because it's pretty easy to like work with, kind of just give it a pass. Because the end result is so fast and easy and looks good. Image quality on the stream today is much better. Thank you for that. You can thank my internet provider, actually, for giving me the internet that I actually pay for. So, thank you to them. Because, you know, oddly enough, from my side, nothing has changed, which is the incredibly frustrating part about it. It's like, oh, you just not going to do what I, you know, internet's down. Oh, unplanned maintenance. Great. Thank you. Or planned maintenance is even worse. You didn't plan but not communicated. They didn't tell me it was happening. But apparently for them it was planned. ZModeler's come a long way. It sure has. It sure has. It's got a lot of really cool features. I'm still learning it. I'm still understanding, you know, how it fits into my pipeline, where I want to use it, what I want to use it for, what it's really good for. But I'll admit it's really powerful. There's nothing that I feel like I can't do a certain thing. It's just for me personally, I'm not as comfortable with it right now, so I don't really know how to make all the shapes that I want to make. That's kind of it. All right, what are you creasing now that I don't like? Everything. I don't necessarily like this double little thing I made here. That shape a little bit for it to make some more sense. Do I like that? No. No, I don't. Yeah, I think that's a little more clear. What's my workflow to make character rigging? I don't really do that much character rigging, to be honest with you. So I don't have a great workflow with that. All right, let's get these last ones done. Whoop, whoop. I don't mind the softness on that, actually. That needs to have one. I want to get all in there, so we're just going to select as much as we can see. Oh, those creases. All right, let's get in here with this uncrease tool. Crease, uncrease, uncrease. I just like how clean it is, though. It's nice and clean, nice and fast. There's going to be a supportive piece of equipment here, so it's kind of just like creating a big old pad down there that we'll end up using later. Right now, this is all the same color. It should be the same color, so we're going to come in here, fill object, fill object, fill object, fill object, fill object. Fill object. There we go, nice and clean, nice and clean. If you're working alone, I'd start modeling a character, then retopologize it for animation, and then do bones and weights and painting. Yeah, that's probably the right way. Ghost of Christmas Future says from Twitch. That is the right way to go. Well, everyone, we got most of the straps done on the body, and we did a little warm-up today, which was pretty fun, too. Somebody said it looked like the Deep Sea King from something. I don't remember what that was, but doing good. We're doing good on this project. I think every week we're making good progress. We have 1 minute left in the stream, so I'm going to wrap it up here in just a second. But I appreciate everybody coming over and hanging out and watching the stream today. We're going to keep taking this character, and eventually we're going to get this to a pretty final level. I'm not spending a lot of time off of the stream. So while that means that the progress you see on the stream isn't immense, it is pretty much the entire process of the character. So if this is interesting to you, you can keep coming back and watching and seeing what the next steps we do. Next week we'll probably, hopefully, if I do spend any time outside of the stream, I'll spend some time getting the leg straps done, and then these ones can probably go away. I don't think I need those. And then we'll get into some armor. The armor will be fun, and then we can start getting into some design and character stuff from there. So when I say design, I mean illustrations of design. Why is that piece different color? Ah, there we are. So soon we'll get into this armor stuff, which will be fun. Then we'll be getting into a little bit more texturing, probably posing, figuring out what we're going to do for design illustrations, getting into some more of what the character is. That'll be all fun stuff, all stuff that I'm really looking forward to, honestly. I don't want this in there. So you can kind of see where we're going. We still got a little bit of character to add back to this because the sketchy nature of this is getting kind of blown away by the cleanness of what we have now, which is not necessarily a bad thing, how clean this is, but we do need to add some life back into it because right now it feels like a bunch of base meshes, which is a problem. So yeah, but otherwise feeling pretty good. Why is this turning white? Is it masked? I think it's masked. Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, I'm going to go ahead and save this, and I'll show you the Deep Sea King again. I think that's what somebody said. Get this over here. Get this over here. This is where we got to today, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the stream. I'll be back here next week, every Wednesday from 2 to 5 Pacific time on ArchAM. So thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you next time.